When we take a pulse on the state of the world today, you started talking about numbing. I think there's a lot of violence that has become normalized and therefore even kind of invisibilized. And so there already has been a lot of desensitization going on, I think. And at the same time, we're also at a time when the technologies of recording and info sharing has become a lot more democratized. So a lot of such violence, like you mentioned, the genocides in Palestine, Congo, Sudan, and so on, is actually being broadcasted and presented live in front of our bare eyes every single day, especially for a lot of us who choose not to tune out and who choose to be witnesses of what is happening. And that can be very difficult to process, especially for people who are especially sensitive and do feel things very deeply. So I'm curious to hear you explore the fine lines of the both and of allowing ourselves to feel deeply, to feel rage, to cry, to break down, and then the numbing to part of that pain in order to even survive, especially for people who physically cannot opt out of their oppressive circumstances and have to kind of find solace in the peripheries or even dissociate as a coping mechanism. So, what does it mean to kind of balance staying deeply attuned to the violence of modernity while also honoring rest and joy as resistance?
Hmm. Yeah, I love this question and your thoughts around it. Something I feel is important is like all of our responses, our stress responses can be supportive in certain situations. So I don't think there's anything wrong per se with dissociation or numbing. Like sometimes that is a really, really supportive response. Sometimes that keeps us safe. Sometimes that keeps us alive. The issue I find with it is when that becomes the normative default state and we don't understand that we're there all the time. I think that's the difference for me. I think when people are consciously like, I can't deal with this right now, I'm going to check out, there's an awareness that that's happening and there's some agency over that, which suggests, hopefully, that people might have strategies to also come out of that state if and when needed. So I think for me, it's about being able to move between states and have the capacity and the skill to do that, which I know a lot of people don't have right now. And when it comes to, I'll circle back to that, a lot of people don't have that right now, but I hope that that's going to change and is already changing with kind of the socialization of political somatics and, yeah, I think awareness of the nervous system and things like this, which are hopefully creating a bit more literacy around what it could look like to move between states more consciously. I think also with a lot of the context people have to navigate, whether it's work and just, making enough money to meet your needs, there are many situations that we wouldn't choose to be in. Like capitalism and modernity can be quite coercive. So there's lots of compromises we're having to make. And sometimes choosing to disconnect or numb in those environments is the most supportive or adaptive thing. Great. But then what happens when you come home or you come to somewhere that you feel a relative level of safety? Is there an ability to move into a different state, more towards relaxation, that allows the system to soften, that allows there to be some kind of recovery from that state that can be helpful, but over time, if it's not moved out of, can cause health issues, can cause mental health challenges. So I think that framing is important for me. But also when it comes to looking at things on social media, I do think we have to be really aware of the impacts that vicarious trauma has on our body minds. I understand that there's a power in witnessing. I understand that people want to stay informed. And also, we have to be careful about how we stay well, how we stay able to contribute in the ways that we're aligned with, that we're able to contribute, how we can care for those we have care responsibilities for, how we can have enough capacity to move towards joy or relaxation or the things that bring us ease. And I feel the discourse in certain realms of social media around almost this, if you care, you have to bear witness and watch very traumatic videos every day for hours every day. I don't agree with that. I don't actually think it's helpful. I don't think it's helpful for people who are watching that and actually who are definitely going to be pretty impacted by that in a way that, they might not have the skills to really recover from. But also, I don't think it changes the conditions on the ground. People who are experiencing genocide. I think there are other ways we can show up, other ways we can participate in resistance, other ways we can stay informed without having to do that. So, yeah, I think we have to be really discerning and notice, okay, how is my body mind reacting to this? Is this sustainable for me? Are there other ways I can get information about what's happening without having to watch hours or even 30 minutes of very violent videos every day? Something I was suggesting in a newsletter recently was that people maybe create little pods of trusted friends. This could be like 3 or 4 people. And maybe one person on 2 days of the week is engaging with a few channels or other sources of news and is updating other people. So it's not like a daily necessity that everyone's doing that. And they can support each other by checking in, talk about what actions they're engaging with, having peer solidarity models that are less dependent on, just watching huge amounts of violent content, because it's not a frivolous thing. It really is impacting people's physical and mental health in quite pronounced ways. And of course, there's an argument to say, well, that suffering is nothing compared to what people are experiencing under genocide. True, 100%, it's not comparable. And also, if we're going to be able to maintain a level of resistance or solidarity or have the capacity to change the conditions that need to be changed, we need to be resourced enough for that. And I don't think a lot of people are considering what that means and how long we may need to continue resourcing ourselves to do the work. So I just would invite people to be really discerning about, what's supportive and how to get information, how to stay engaged without doing things that create a huge amount of vicarious trauma.